Simo. Simo. Hi, Simo.
How's it going? Hi.
Now, we did we had a fun time at the start of the last video. I got to tell you all about Khan's block, which turned out to be one of the best blocks and formats in Magic the Gathering history.
That was great. I'm still thinking about some of those cards. I'm not gonna lie. Like that whole set, that whole block just seemed nuts.
I know. It was a wonderful time in Magic the Gathering, but unfortunately, they stopped doing blocks. They don't do blocks anymore.
Boo.
But I thought it might be fun since you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player. And you know all about the eternal format that is Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, the famously one format, now kind of two formats.
Actually, correction, we have two, but no one plays the other one.
Gotcha. But anyway, big formats. Okay. So I am looking forward, and the comments will love hearing this because they ask for this all the time. Sure. I am looking forward to showing you Modern. I'm looking forward to showing you Legacy someday.
I've heard a lot of people tell me that I would really like Modern, so I'm curious to see if that is true or not.
Oh, I think you will too. And someday we will show you. It is not this day.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
We're going to start small and work our way back up.
Okay.
We're going smaller than standard today. You're going to try to figure out if the cards I show you were banned in block constructed.
Block constructed.
That means just the three little sets set in the same world that came out with these cards in them. Very small formats, often 500, 600 or 500 cards or less.
Okay,
Micro
treasure
formats.
fruits banned. Next.
They didn't play block constructed for that set. Good try.
Sorry.
You're gonna have to. It's gonna be a little harder than that, Simo.
Darn it!
So on this week's edition of the CovertGoBlue podcast, brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, if you have any cards from those old blocks that you don't play anymore because they were only useful in a very, very small format, you might want to consider sending them to CoolStuffInc.com with their new full-service selling program. Full-service selling is a way to send all your bulk to CoolStuffInc.com and then have them go through all the sorting and all the pricing and hook you up with some money or 25% more in-store credit. Check out the link below.
Bulk?
Nobody, but they do want more cards. Weird. So yeah, CoolStuffInc.com/full service selling. Sponsor of today's video and podcast. Check us out on the podcasting platforms like Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts. You could leave a review there. That would be new. That would be something I don't have yet. Try it out.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, especially if you want like Modern and Legacy. I probably will never, ever do a Modern or Legacy episode if you guys don't leave reviews.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, threatening the audience, I'm told, is a very successful way to run a YouTube channel.
Also, listening to the audience, I heard, is a successful way to run the YouTube channel. Nothing's ever gone awry listening to the audience ever.
Probably not. Probably not. You know, good advice here from successful YouTuber Simo of a great Yu-Gi-Oh fame. I appreciate it. Are you ready to take a trip into the blocks?
Sure.
Deep into the blocks.
So do they still do this format, or was this like they tried this once and then it didn't like take off, so they stopped? Give me some lore here.
Sure. They tried block formats for a very, very long time.
Oh, okay.
A very long time. I believe like one of the first blocks was Ice Age block constructed. And I actually played this when it was new, and it was two sets, just a 2-set block, Ice Age and Alliances. Okay. That was it. So these formats had some of the most bizarre decks you'll ever see. There's a great video out there called The Worst Deck to Ever Win a Pro Tour. They did pro events in these blocks.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, the worst deck ever to win a pro tour comes from Ice Age Alliance's block constructed, which is where we're going to start our journey. But they did do that for about, I would say it was over a decade. I'm trying to remember what the last block was, and I think it was first Innistrad block constructed, and that was a pro tour. So Pro Tour Avacyn Restored was Innistrad block constructed. That may have been the last time they did a pro tour in blocks, and that was before cons. That was I believe that was well before cons, like maybe 4 or 5 years. Crazy. Wow. Okay. They'll correct me in the comments because I could go digging for years right now. They know what I mean.
They're geniuses. They'll figure it out.
Yep, just leave me a comment setting my timeline perfectly straight. I appreciate you. See, I put them to work and I demand things of them. This is how you run it.
They're loyal.
How you run a business.
They're loyal.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to start it off with this card. Do you think, rate this card and tell me if you think this card was banned in block constructed.
What the hell is this? Zuron Orb? This is like a bonsai tree. It's kind of trippy. Like, old Magic art is just so interesting to me because it's just such a departure from like the new art is such a departure from the old. So it's like almost two different vibes.
Yeah.
0 mana artifact. And for 0, you sacrifice a land to gain 2 life. Okay. So immediate impression is that this card, like, why would you ever play this? But you're going to tell me this was like the most broken thing in the entire format. And they had to like emergency ban it from block constructed for whatever reason. So we're only talking about the span of what, like 3 sets, right?
2 sets. This is Ice Age and Alliances.
Sets. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So we are doing the
2
Ice Age
sets.
Alliance thing. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. So
That's
2
where
sets. So
we're
even
going
less.
First.
Even less. So each of these sets, how many cards do we have? Like a couple hundred per?
Yeah, this is, I think Ice Age came out to like, we'll call it 307, like 350 cards. Some of those cards were lands that were just snow-covered basics, which is not like making a difference really, not changing. It's like they had to print lands in the set, right?
Sure.
So we'll say that's like 350 cards, and then Alliances another like 100. So we're probably talking like 450 playable cards, something like that. Under 500 playable cards.
All right, so I need to think about this in the context of like a limited format. So I don't know if you know this. I'm very much a fan of like trying to champion limited Yu-Gi-Oh, which never... It sort of existed. There was a point where Yu-Gi-Oh tried to copy the Magic Pro Tour, where they actually did draft for the top cut of YCSs. It was a very short time that they did this. And it was very mixed in terms of the response. They don't do it anymore, so obviously it wasn't that popular. But like Yu-Gi-Oh has never... The Yu-Gi-Oh's never been like particularly good with like a draft or a limited format, just because the way the cards sort of work, they're like very xenophobic with one another, or you need to have like a high enough density of cards that have like a certain archetype or name or whatever for them to like synergize together. Unless you're like either custom tailing the card pool, which is what they did, or you're playing like old Yu-Gi-Oh, which old Yu-Gi-Oh was a lot more conducive to playing in like a limited environment, if you will. So a bit of a lore dump there. So I'm just really trying to think like what you're really doing with this. Like best case scenario I can think of is, I don't know if there's like any particular special type of land that like maybe does something really powerful, but like has like a negative downside over time. And like if it builds up enough, like I think about our commander game and like the One Ring. And if I had a way to like sack off the One Ring so I don't have to like pay the cost for the burden counters or whatever. If there was something like equivalent to that in this format, then like that would actually be very useful because you can get the benefit of it. Then like you're in the mid game. It's like, okay, I've got my benefit. I can like sack it off with this thing, gain some life. But more importantly, I don't take the huge downside of whatever land there is. I'm trying to think as like many use cases for this card as possible. Maybe you just like getting the life because it gives you more time to like not die. That seems like super unlikely. I think like what I'm thinking of is the only thing I can think of that would be particularly good. So I feel like in
Tell you what, I'll show you another card from that format.
Oh, you're so generous. You're actually going to give me context? You never do that.
I know, but I'm feeling a little special in this episode. We've got Simo way out of the comfort zone on this one.
Thawing Glaciers. This is a land that comes into play tapped, and for 1 and tap, you search your library for a basic land and put it into play tapped. This does not count towards your 1 land per turn. Shuffle your library afterwards. At the end of your turn, return Thawing Glaciers to owner's hand. This comes into play tapped. Next turn, it untaps. If you have a land, you can play land and tap. You get another land. So then you're at 3, but then this bounces back at the end of your turn, but then you can still play a land. So I think you still technically ramp in that regard.
I believe that since you only get the one land a turn and then the land you fetch replaces it, I think people would see this as ramping. Since it bounces, you're coming out the same as if you just hit your land drop from your hand.
You're ramping, but it's in your hand.
Because this doesn't tap for mana.
Oh, right. That's true. Okay, so that's important to note. But you could also sacrifice it before the end of the turn so it doesn't bounce. But then why would you do that? Because then it's still gone anyway?
Yeah, you paid 0 mana for 2 life. Are you not impressed?
Broken. Whoa, 2 life. You know how I feel about gaining life, CGB. That's probably why you picked this card, too. I can't in good conscience say that this got banned. I'm sure you're going to tell me that there's going to be some long monologue of how ridiculous this is, but I'm not seeing it. So lay it on me. I'm going to say not banned.
What about Thawing Glaciers?
Do I think Thawing Glaciers got banned? It only gets basics. 1 in tap, search your library for a basic, put into play tap. Doesn't count towards your land. What benefit? Like, why would they need to ban this? It's so weird when I have to consider, like, resources. I'm not used to that.
Costs, payments.
Costs, yeah.
Very
Disgusting.
difficult stuff. Crazy.
Vile. I can't imagine. Even when I came on your show, I had to find a way to circumvent that. I want to say no, and I know there's context I'm missing here, so I'm actually kind of interested as to why. But, like, you like, it's such a weird way to ramp, but, like, is that good enough in limited? Maybe? I guess, like, if you're in limited, but God, that seems so bad. But this is also, when was this? When were these sets released?
We are in 1997.
Oh my God. I was a literal infant.
Yes.
I feel like from some of the old cards you've shown me that aren't like the just straight up broken ones, just like cards back then were just, the design on them is just so different. Like maybe this is for like limited, maybe this is too good, but I'm not seeing it, man. I'm really not seeing it. I'm trying. I'm like these expeditioners in the Thawing Glaciers. I'm looking for the clues and I'm not seeing it. I'm going to go with no. I'm very curious to hear the story on this one.
The subconscious just says no way this was banned.
I can't see it. Even by limited standard, like I can't see it. It's enlighten me.
My friend, you are looking at the only 2 banned cards in Ice Age Block.
What?
Both of them.
Both?
Not one. Both.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain
had to
this.
Be banned.
You're gonna have to explain this.
Here's how I'm going to explain this. Ice Age Block. I look back very fondly on Ice Age. Very fondly. It was like one of the first big releases that happened in my peak, like Magic is the greatest thing in the world years. I remember where I bought my first Ice Age deck. I remember my first Ice Age rare, and there were some good cards in Ice Age. People look back and they'll talk about alliances in Ice Age as having Force of Will and Necropotence. But as far as a standard set, there was so much shit in Ice Age and alliances, dude. It was...
Yeah, I'm looking at 2 of the cards right now.
Really rough. It was really hard to win a game in Ice Age and Alliances Block. It was really hard to finish a game. The creatures weren't very powerful. In fact, that video I mentioned about the worst deck of all time, it was actually looking at this Ice Age Block deck that won that Pro Tour. Let me show you an example of a creature in a deck in that Pro Tour. This is one of my favorite things to share. This was a win con.
That's some freaky art. Giant trapdoor spider.
You can ignore the ability. It's
What,
3 mana for a 2/3.
It's just a 3 mana 2/3. That's it.
The deck ran 8 of these 3 mana 2/3s and a lot of ways to destroy lands, and that's like how
that was
it
the win
won.
con.
I mean, I guess I could show you Deadly Insect, and this actually was a meta-defining card. Let me show you Deadly freaking Insect. This was what people actually built decks around and around killing, because it was the best win con in the format.
4 and a green for a 6/1 that can't be the target of spells or effects. Really?
Yes.
This was the format-defining super threat.
This was the card that would actually kill an opponent. Yeah. That's
wow.
Like what it was. And what happened is the Deadly Insect meta began to revolve around this card, Pyroclasm, which deals 2 damage to each creature. Yes, the 2 damage to each creature, Pyroclasm. That's it. And
wow.
You know what Pyroclasm doesn't kill?
Giant trapdoor spider. Yep.
But you know what keeps all of this from ever winning a game? Just an endless supply of lands that you sack for life. You just gain an extra bunch of life all the time.
That's insane because everything
orb.
sucks. Oh my
You
god.
can't
So
win.
like if you sack a land, you're only going to take 2 anyway, so it's just basically an extra turn.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How did anyone play this? Why do you have fond memories of this? This sounds miserable.
Because I almost made it on that Pro Tour. I made the top 8 of a very big tournament playing this format.
Wow.
And do you know what my deck did? My deck played this beautiful card. And yeah, this is another reason.
Oh, great. My
Orb,
favorite. Yes,
yep,
my favorite.
Just destroy everything. Zurin Orb and this was like, okay, I'm going to sack all my lands, gain all this life, then blow everything up. So it's going to take you like an extra 40 minutes to kill me. It was
this is
great.
Disgusting. This is
was
awful.
Amazing.
You are sick in the head. Why? How would you derive pleasure from this? This does not sound fun.
We were all sick in the head back then. And to be fair,
I mean, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. I'm already sick in the head, so.
Yeah. The other power card of the moment was probably like the other card that they were concerned about when banning the Zurin Orb. Not so much thawing glaciers, right? But Zurin Orb for sure was Necropotence. Like Necropotence was the biggest power outlier in Ice Age by a mile. And
that
I
card
believe
like
I've
doesn't even
shown
seem like it
to
fits
you.
in the same set.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. But this let you basically pay life for cards. So
I think you showed me this before.
Yeah, I did. So the only thing that balanced it's weird. What the best way to gain life in mono black in these 2 sets would be Zurin Orb, just sacking your lands
so
to be able to
funny.
keep drawing cards. And they responded by banning Zurin Orb
And not Necropotence.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Necropotence doesn't seem abusable in any capacity. Yeah, I'm sure.
I heard this story on a recent video, and I believe it. Because this is basically coming from a content creator who was playing competitive Magic at the time, who they said they heard it from people at WotC, Wizards of the Coast, that they were trying to balance black, the color black, around Necropotence always being legal. They were trying literally trying to keep Necropotence alive and in the format because they thought that was what the color black should be all about. And I kind of get it. It's
from
fun.
a business perspective, I get that. Like, you want to have like the crazy card like be able to do the thing, right? Unless it's like so degenerate that like you have to actually address banning it. So like, okay, sure. I think I can see that.
Here's the kicker. They took this so far. They banned Zurin Orb 1 month later in Standard. That's your kicker.
There's no way. There's no way.
They did. It also got
Wow.
banned in Standard a month later. They were like, the results of this are so good. People are finally winning games in Ice Age Block Constructed. Games are finally coming to an end. We're going to ban it in Standard too.
That's unbelievable. Your game is so wild for this. This is like, you and I have done a lot of videos together. This might legitimately be the most shocking thing you've ever told me.
Yeah, there it is.
I think this beats Dingus Egg. I'm not going to lie.
I had to go there. I had to do this video just
I'm glad
for this
you did
purpose.
because it's like, you and I just finished recording a video and just like the stuff that I was showing you compared to this is incredible.
Well, This is block constructed, baby, where the real stars come out to play.
Yes, the real stars like Zurin Orb and Thawing Glaciers. Fantastic. All right. Well, now I know what the bar is set at. So how much worse can we get?
I think the Whiplash might hurt.
Oh, no. Oh, what is this? This is cool art. Squandered Resources?
Squandered Resources.
I don't know why, for some reason, I'm like reading that improperly. Yeah, Squandered Resources. Black and a green, my kind of card. It's an enchantment. Sacrifice a land. Add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type that sacrificed land could produce. Play this ability as a mana source. Does that mean anything like in particular? The last line?
Back in the day, that was a way of specifying that the effect could not be countered. Nowadays, it's taken for granted that things that produce mana don't use the stack. They just happen.
Okay. See, this actually looks more promising to be something that could be banned, because if I'm understanding this right, you could like tap your lands for mana, and then you could use this to like sack the lands to get extra mana out of the lands, right? And then like you like ramp for a turn, if you will, to play like a big thing. Am I understanding that correctly? But the problem is, now that you've told me that everything in the set sucks, would you even do that? Although, I mean, if you get to your deadly insect a lot quicker,
Hold on, this is a different format.
Oh, different format. Excuse me.
Yep. You are in a new block, my friend. Hold on. This is the Block Constructed show. This is the Mirage block. You are looking at Mirage and Visions and Weatherlight as the sets that were legal for this event.
This whole video is a mirage, considering they banned fucking Zurin Orb. Okay. Can I at least ask if the can we kill the opponent now?
Yeah, you can ask a lot of questions about each format since it's going to change so much. At this point, the creatures are better. They're still nowhere near modern standards, but like, yeah, games were not going to like who can gain the most life like they were in Ice Age.
Okay,
the format's it's a bit more powerful.
Because I'm thinking, okay, so this is a black and a green. So like turn 2, maybe you play this, right? Then turn 3, you have 3 lands. So you could theoretically, I don't know if you would ever do this, but like theoretically you could tap for 3, you got the 3 mana, then sack all the lands to Squandered Resources. So you have 6. You could play a 6-drop on turn 3. And like in a limited setting, that's like insane potentially, because like maybe they don't have answers to deal with like a 6-drop on turn 3 or 4, and that could just like basically win you the game even though you set yourself back and land.
That's a big investment.
It is.
Let me show you another card.
Okay, sure. Again, it's limited, though. Like, sometimes, like, in limited, if you stick a thing that has... So, similar to... I know we're not in the format, but, like, Deadly Insect has the protection from spells and effects. You just showed me here. Cadaverous Blue... Oh, this is cool. 3 and a black and a green. For another enchantment, choose a card in your hand and remove it from the game. Add black, black, or green, green to your mana pool. And, again, play this ability as a mana source. This is a lot more expensive, but... this is cool because you get to keep the lands. You can pitch stuff. You're in black, so getting stuff to the graveyard's not even that bad most of the time. Green, maybe not. Even if green...
So to be clear, you remove the card in your hand from the game.
Oh, it's exiled. Sorry.
Yes.
It's not... Yes, and exile in your game is a lot different than our game, because you usually don't get your stuff back from exile. So you don't get the graveyard synergy, but that's fine, right? If you pitch your hand, especially in limited, because like limited, you're limited in what you can do anyway. So if you're pitching 2 or 3 cards to get 6 mana to play a big thing, I feel like that like might just be fine. So like my whole point with the Squandered Resources was, if you're sticking a thing that has hexproof or indestructible or like some keywords on it that make it really just really difficult to kill, then, like, if that's your win con, then what do you care if you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because limited, you have way fewer options to actually answer something like that, which is what makes limited fun in a lot of ways, because you have to, like, either get creative or, you know, your power levels are just at that point where something like sticking a big guy is actually crazy. Who'd have thought? Old Yu-Gi-Oh! Could be like that, though, too, sometimes, which is fun. Cadaverous Bloom, the thing is like, it just seems so expensive, but like if you get to 5 and you play it, like it could just allow you to turn the game around, because you're already going to have 5 lands ideally at that point anyway. Or you can like squandered resources into Cadaverous Bloom, and then you're just pitching your hand, and then you have even more mana at that point, but then you keep some of the lands as well, so you don't like go so far behind.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. I feel like... I guess it just depends on if there's a payoff or not. Because if the payoffs are bad, then I don't think these are warranted to get banned.
I'll show you another card.
Oh, great. Prosperity. Oh, it's blue. Ban it. X in a blue. Each player draws X cards. So you could hypothetically remove a card from the game, add mana, and then potentially play Prosperity. Are you always +1 in that exchange? Because you're paying 2. You already paid... If you have the blue for Prosperity, then you're always pitching a card for 2, so then X goes up 2. So you're losing 1 card, drawing 2 each time. It seems pretty good. Again, it is limited, though. I feel like if anything, one of the other 2 cards would get hit. I feel like Prosperity's probably okay. Is it okay? It's limited. Well, like in your game, drawing cards is so different. Oh, but it's also each player. It's not even just you.
It is each player, yeah.
Yeah, I missed that at first. So what? Then try to like mill them out? Is that the game plan here? In constructed block limited, are you still playing a 60-card deck, or do you play a smaller deck?
60-card deck.
It's still 60. Okay. Because isn't it in some formats you just play 40?
That is limited. Which is
yeah.
You open cards and play with what you open.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't see anything busted.
I feel like there's arguments for the squandered resources or the Cadaverous Bloom. Cadaverous Bloom just seems like so expensive, but it also has like a lot of upside. Squandered resources, it's like sacking the lands is such a huge cost for it, but it really just depends if there's like the mega payoff. But I guess there's a world where with like Prosperity, you draw a million cards, and then Cadaverous Bloom, you can just pitch them all and exile them and get a bunch of land, or a bunch of mana, excuse me. And then you could play like a bunch of things. And so then it's not just like one thing, it's you're playing like 5 or 7 or however many things you want, because you can draw a million cards off of it. But at that point, is Prosperity the problem, or is Cadaverous Bloom the problem? I feel like Cadaverous Bloom would be. God, it's 5 mana. That just seems expensive.
It's not cheap, but you did point out a way to
yeah, you can like cheat it
get
out,
it out on turn 3. Yeah,
but then that also begs the question. Then okay, squandered resource is an issue because it allows you to like cheat out Cadaverous Bloom, or is Cadaverous Bloom like the bigger issue? Or it could be both. Maybe they're both really good and they both deserve to be banned. I'll say it's rough. I'll give you your thumbnail. I'll go with Cadaverous Bloom getting banned.
That's the one you would ban?
I'll ban that. I think squandered resources is good, but the fact you have to sack the lands is really important. But it is cheaper, which could enable some other stuff. I just think sacking the lands is just such a high cost to pay in a block constructed format. So I'll go with that. And I think Prosperity is also fine.
Okay. So Bloom banned.
Correct.
So you are looking at the bones of one of the first great standard / block legal combo decks in Magic the Gathering history, known as Prosperous Bloom. You can see the Prosperity combined with the Bloom, putting that together. So yes, in vintage Magic, back when we had Moxes, Black Lotus, Time Twister, combo decks were, very possible. But as soon as they got away from that and got into Type 2 / Standard Magic, they were much less playable. And as we talked about in Ice Age, God, could Ice Age Block have used a combo deck, something that could actually win a game. Am I right? But here in Mirage Visions Weatherlight, what built out would also eventually be standard legal and standard competitive is Prosperous Bloom. They would use cards like Prosperity and this card here, Infernal Contract, to pay half your life to draw 4 cards for 3 mana.
That'd be banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Immediately.
Pretty cool, right?
If I could pay half my life to draw, I'd pay half my life to draw 2. But 4, that's insane.
Yeah, there you go. Squandered Resources was the card that would eventually get banned because this is the card that would come down on turn 2 and turn 3 lead to cheating out the Cadaverous Bloom, which would lead to either that turn, because if you still had a blue mana in your mana pool, which was potentially true with the right dual color land, you could cast a Prosperity for the rest of your hand on that turn. But what happened more likely is like a turn later, you cast a very large Prosperity that leads to you discarding all those cards except another Prosperity and casting another very large Prosperity. I meant exiling all those cards except for the Infernal Contract and another Prosperity, which led you to in one turn drawing your deck and hitting the opponent with an X spell like Drain Life that just, once you had 20 cards in your hand, you discard 20 cards, you make 20 mana, Drain Life does X damage, 20 to any target, and you win the game. So good old pop-off solitaire combo that happening as early as turn 3 was a little too good for the block constructed format. And Prosperous Bloom was still a pretty popular deck. They just found other ways to buy time and do the thing. Squandered Resources was the card that made it happen too soon for Wizards' liking. Squandered Resources got banned.
Interesting. So it's not that they didn't necessarily want this combo to exist in the game. It's that they didn't want it to happen as early as Squandered Resources allowed it to.
Yep. They were like, combo, cool. Early combo, scary, no likey.
It's interesting because I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Philosophy, they would just ban the Cadaverous Bloom. But, because that seems to be the source of all the degeneracy in this combo here. But, obviously never, the ban list, philosophies of these companies never really align with the players', logic ever. So, I get it. It makes sense. But I don't know if I agree with it.
I agree that some of these things were pretty wild back in the day, but it's also like Magic is the first TCG doing this thing.
They have nothing to look at
real
for reference.
Time. Yeah, exactly. They gotta figure it all out. So
card games now have so many other games to look to see okay, here's what these games did. Let's not do that.
Speaking of things not to do,
oh god,
we are going to go to the Tempest block. And Tempest block includes the set Stronghold. And what was the last one? It's Tempest, Stronghold, and Exodus? Is Exodus in there? Anyway, that is what we're going to do. It's the following block. And I'm going to show you a card. And I am really curious to hear what you think of this. And now you've seen what Visions and Mirage Weatherlight kind of took us. We tried out combo territory. And they decided to put the wheels on it a little bit. Well, here's a little card that got printed in Stronghold.
So interesting. That's the first actual combo deck. That's crazy. Dream Halls, 3 and 2 blue. Ban it. It's blue. It's an enchantment. Instead of paying the casting cost for a spell of any color, its caster may choose to discard a card that shares at least one color with that spell. If the spell has X in its casting cost, X is 0. So if I'm understanding this correctly, if I have a blue card in my hand, but if I just pitch a blue card, I just get to play the blue card for free.
Yeah.
That seems busted. That seems really... It's 5 mana, though. I mean, granted, you're not doing this immediately, but if you go play this on 5, maybe you ramp into it, so you play it a turn or 2 earlier, maybe 4, right? It is, still block constructed. And then you just pitch a blue card to play a giant blue card, or pitch a green card to play a giant green card. We like free, CGB. That's all I'm seeing here.
Seems really free.
Seems really free.
Seems really free.
It seems good. I don't really know what else you want me to say. This seems nuts.
Banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, like, I mean, I guess everything's free in Yu-Gi-Oh! But like, yeah, all the alarm bells are going off, huh?
Yu-Gi-Oh! There wouldn't. How would we have this in Yu-Gi-Oh? Be like pitch a dark monster to summon a dark. Basically, all our cards do something similar to that anyway at times. But yeah, I don't know. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't even know if this would be good because everything's just so free anyway that I don't even think this would matter all that much. But if you're talking about a block constructed set, like I can imagine you just do this and then, especially, well, we're past the point of like prosperity being legal because we're in a different block. But if there's other cards, like because you have a bunch of draw power in your game, surely over the course of the turns you're assembling this, you play this. And now you have just some giant idiot that you can just play for free in addition to that. And you can keep going. It's not like it says you can only do it once. So you can play like multiple big things and just dump your hand. Who cares? It's block constructed. They're not going to have that out. That seems nuts.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Seems nuts.
But
you're going to say it's awful
it
and no one played it. I think it's bannable.
So banned?
I'm going to say banned. You're going to be like, this card's awful, and no one ever played it. So, yeah, I'm in.
This card was awful. No one ever played it in Tempest block at all. Which is, actually 100% true. Let me show you the card that was not banned instead. Or let me show you the card that was banned.
I was going to say the card that was banned instead.
This is a card I showed you at a different time, so it wasn't what I led with.
Got it. Oh, Cursed Scroll, my second favorite to Dingus Egg. Great. Yeah, I remember this. 1 mana artifact, 3 and tap. Name a card. Target opponent chooses a card random from your hand. If he or she chooses the named card, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player.
Yep. That is the card that got banned in Tempest block.
That's
because
disgusting.
That is what they were afraid that every game would turn into now too fast. Empty your hand and then burn them out with no counterplay. And in that meta, Dream Halls was slow. Now Dream Halls would not survive in other formats.
Okay, so other formats, this card's good. Okay, thank you.
Oh my god, yeah. The standard deck I had with Dream Halls was toxic, dude. It was so toxic.
What are you summoning off of Dream Halls? Or what are you casting? Because you're not.
You're just draw spells.
Oh, you just draw. Okay, that's
you
good.
Just draw more cards.
That's good. Yeah,
that's all you do. All you do is draw more cards.
That's so crazy that even in like a format with such a small card pool, that this card was not good. That's insane to me.
Do you want to know what the win con of the Dream Hall deck in Standard was? May I show you this? This was the win con. It's the most expensive pot of greed to ever see competitive play.
Inspiration, 3 and a blue for an instant. Target player draws 2. Okay, I mean, but if it's
eventually you have so many cards in your hand.
Yep.
From doing all the drawing stuff yourself and ways to recur your graveyard.
You just mill your opponent
and draw more cards. You start targeting your opponent with inspiration until they die. That's it.
That's unbelievable.
That's the deck. And that
is toxic.
The pieces weren't quite there in Tempest block. Actually, the decks that dominated Tempest block were decks built around this card.
This is very funny. We have a Yu-Gi-Oh card. This is his exact title. Recurring Nightmare. This is 2 and a black and is very small on my screen. For an enchantment, sacrifice a creature, return Recurring Nightmare to its owner's hand. Put target creature card from your graveyard into play. Oh, that's nuts. Yeah, okay. Sure.
So this limited format, had a friend of yours that was legal in it named Hermit Druid. Remember that card?
Oh my god, that card's that old?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, the decks that did well in this format would use Hermit Druid, just put all of their pieces in the graveyard, and there would be combos, there would be interaction, and they would use Recurring Nightmare to just keep getting back whatever they needed. If somebody were to Dream Halls, they'd just Recurring Nightmare into, like, something that killed it or some other disruptive piece. They did not care. These are the decks that dominated.
This is just convincing me more and more that green, blue, black is the Yu-Gi-Oh color combination. That's all I'm gonna say.
It certainly seems like it is. Tempest Block was a really weird time, and over time, every deck kind of devolved into this reoccurring survival deck. Is what they called it, because another card in that group is Survival of the Fittest, which have I shown you Survival of the Fittest?
It doesn't sound familiar. No.
I might someday. I'm going to keep that one on the sideline, but it
Add
was
it to
a
the
really
spreadsheet.
sweet combo card. So you know what? Tempest was a weird time. They banned Curse Scroll because games might be too fast. They ended up in reoccurring Nightmare Slogs, and the combo decks just couldn't take off when the creature decks had access to everything all the time. It was kind of a crazy format. I think you might have liked it. I hated it. It reminds me a little of Tier Laments now, looking back, but not as fast. Just very glacially slow,
and with much less text. Oh, that no. Yeah, the Tier Elements formats was crazy in terms of speed. So,
but we will move along. We'll find another format. We are going to go to masks. So we're going to skip a Saga Block. Saga Block was, well, are we going to skip Saga Block? Saga Block was a good time. It was incredibly busted. It was kind of crazy high power. But its block format didn't make a lot of sense in general. So we're going to go to Masks. Mask was like the power down of all this combo stuff, what was called Combo Winter that got so many cards banned. Masks was the set that had the honor of following it. So you're going into a much more powered down format.
Okay, so they wanted to slow the game down. Got it.
Indeed, they wanted to slow the game down. And they printed this card.
The video we did where I showed you all the dragon rulers that you're very fond of, not long after that format, Konami actually, with combination of card design and hitting a bunch of stuff on the ban list, we went from one of the most crazy high power formats ever to one of like Yu-Gi-Oh's slowest formats ever, which is insane to think given like the way that the power scaling is in our game. So maybe I'll show you some of those cards one day.
Yeah, you'll probably want to and get some revenge for this video.
Probably.
Here is a card out of Masks.
Rishadan Port. Rishadan Port.
Rishadan is said a lot. Rishadan?
Interesting. It's a land that taps to add a colorless mana to your mana pool, and then one and you tap this to tap target land. Huh. That seems like it could be a problem if you're able to... Because you can play 4 of these, right? Nothing's stopping you from doing that.
Except its price tag at the time.
Oh. Yes. The true gatekeeper of card games. The all-powerful credit card. I see a world where this, like, soft locks your opponent. If you have a bunch of land, you have, like, a big threat. And then if you have a bunch of these ports, you just tap down your opponent's stuff, and now they can't play big thing or thing to like kill your thing or to stop you from doing your thing. That seems very toxic. That seems very Yu-Gi-Oh! In some ways.
Kind of strange for a land, but okay.
You need resources, right? If you can't use your resources. So like that, like the equivalent is like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When we have all these like stacks cards that say like, oh, you can't like special summon or you can't use spells or whatever, right? And so that's what this reminds me of, but like for your game, because like since everything's free in our game, it's kind of just worded differently. But the end result is the other player can't play the game, which is what you're going for. I could see this following suit with the Dream Halls, where this is really good, almost broken in like other formats, but then like maybe bad in the block constructed format. Because with the speed of other formats and your ability to like ramp or just do a million other things, this could possibly get out of hand. But is it good enough for block constructed? This just seems just like a really good land, all things considered. This card's probably like $4 billion in real life. Because it's still... It's colorless. Colors sort of matter. You can just remedy that with other stuff. I'm just thinking if you get into a point where you stick a thing that's hard to kill, or even that's not hard to kill, you stick a thing, and as long as you're able to untap, like, with that thing unthreatened, then at that point, your opponent is basically in this, like, weird check scenario where you can just keep tapping their stuff down, like, every single turn, and that's, like, how you're using your turn, and you're just, like, swinging with, like, a big thing or two, and then you just win because of that, and that just seems, like, unhealthy. I'll say they banned it, sure. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. If anything, this probably got banned in, like, other formats, because this seems not okay.
Particularly being a land that taps for colorless, which every deck needs lands. So this can go into any deck.
Yep.
Any deck in the format can play Rashad Port 1 through 4 if they want to. Port often just acted as if you're behind or even, it's just a land. But if you're ahead, if the opponent misses even one land drop in their first
I didn't even
3
think
turns.
about that. Ugh.
Ooh, and you have Port. Oh, get ahead, stay ahead. That was how Rashad Port worked. And this card did get banned in the block constructed format immediately. Immediately banned.
So it didn't even get to see play? Like, did they like pre-ban it, or did it have like one event and they're like, okay, we have to ban this?
That is a good question. From what I'm looking at, it was banned like right when the block format was coming up. So they had a little experience of this in standard before they ran the block constructed format. That's honestly how most of these things would go. The set would come out and the cards would go right into the standard format. So you get to already have some idea about how the cards in the first set, because this is the first Masks set, impacted standard. Then the next Masks set comes out, right? Which is called Scourge. And then they have a block event. They have their first block tournaments.
Oh, right, because you need all the sets. Right, that makes sense.
So they knew Port from Masks had already messed up standard. So they were ready to drop the hammer on that thing. But they need a little time with the new cards from Scourge. Port got the axe really quick. It was like $20 back in the day, which was insane at the time for a standard legal
like a
rare that you
card.
needed 4 of. Yeah. A foil was $25. If you wanted to buy a foil Rashad Port today, you could get one for the low price of $800 US dollars.
Great, I'm gonna go pick one up right now.
Also, Masks, by the way, were it wasn't the first set, but it was one of the first sets to have foils. So foils from back then are very sought after. They're outlandishly expensive.
Makes sense, though. That's so interesting that you didn't have foils up until this point. That's so interesting.
Yeah, they didn't figure out the little foily thing until, God, what was it? Was it Exodus that had our first foils? Judgment? No, it wasn't Judgment. But
that makes sense, though. It's the first card game. It's the first card game.
So they had to, as I say, get to know the Scourge cards. Let's keep talking about Masks block. They have banned the Port. What do you think of this card?
Before we get to it, is Port banned in like other formats, or is it actually fine?
That actually, I meant to tell you that. What do you have an opinion on that before I tell you?
I think it should be, but if they banned it in a block constructed format, it seems like it'd be good enough to ban in like a way more high power format. But who knows?
Who knows? Well, I can tell you right now, at this very moment, that Port is legal in everything.
Wow. Okay. I mean, if stuff's high enough power that Port isn't as oppressive, that actually that kind of makes sense. But I wasn't sure if there's also stuff equally as oppressive that in tandem with this that also keeps making it oppressive. So it could go both ways, I feel.
Yep.
But okay,
sure. a quick search on the wiki says this is the only format it was ever banned in Masks block constructed. It actually survived its time in standard, which
interesting.
Yeah. How about that? I wonder what was going on in standard that just slowing down to lock the opponent's lands down was too slow.
I was about to say, they really wanted to slow down the game, apparently.
Might be another video. Anyway, let's talk about another card that entered the format it's worth some discussion.
Lin Civi?
Yeah.
Defiant Hero? This is 1 and 2 white for a Rebel Legend. It's a 1/3. You can pay X and tap this. Search your library for a Rebel card with converted mana cost X or less. Then put that card into play. Shuffle your library. Okay, interesting. You can't get a copy of herself, though, because you could, because, if the legend rule, like you can have 2, but then you sacrifice 1, or do they change the way that works over time?
They have changed it over time. Okay, I believe that the rule at the time, what I remember of the rule at the time is there can only be one of these. There can only be one of these at the time on the entire battlefield.
Oh, and entire. So even if like you have this, your opponent can't have it. That's really interesting.
I believe if the opponent plays one, it buries yours.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. I just thought they couldn't even play it at all. Interesting.
The rule changed many times. There was also a rule that if the opponent played one, both would be buried. I believe the rule at the time, from what I remember, is that you could play one and kill your opponents.
All right, get him comments. Anyway, the other effect, you pay 3, put target rebel card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. That's kind of cool. Now, do I get to see other rebels, or do I evaluate this in a vacuum?
Yeah, let's show you more rebels. This is going to be fun.
Ramosian Sergeant. Like, I don't know why. This gives me like Full Metal Alchemist vibes for whatever reason.
It does.
It's like Ishval for some reason, just seeing this. Whatever. White for a 1/1 creature rebel. 3 and tap. Search your library for a rebel with converted mana cost 2 or less. Put it into... Okay, I'm seeing a theme here, apparently. Okay.
Oh, did that not shed enough light? How about this one?
I wasn't sure if there was more. I'm sorry.
There is.
Ramosian Lieutenant. I like how there's like the legs flying off on the side there. That's funny. 1 and a white for a 1/2. 4 and tap. Search. This is very Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. If you ever need like a comparison for like how Yu-Gi-Oh works, everything like just searches everything else in the like rebel archetype. This is very Yu-Gi-Oh. I like this. Search your library for a rebel card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put that card into play. Then shuffle your library. Okay. Anything else? Are we good?
I mean, I've got 6 more if you want to see the number in the upper right go up by 1, the number on the left there by the cost go up by 1, and the number in the text box go up by 1 with every one. I got 4 more like that if you'd like.
That's hilarious. Okay.
But I also have some with a slightly different text box.
If there's one that's like notable for me to look at, yeah, sure. Lightbringer. That's a cool name. 2 and a white, another rebel. It's a 2/2. Sacrifice Lightbringer. Remove target black creature from the game. Ooh. Okay. Built-in removal on a creature. We like that. That's fun. And then Lawbringer. 2 and a white for a 2/2. Sacrifice Lawbringer. Remove target red creature from the game. Okay. All right. Is there one for each color, or is it just those 2?
Just those 2.
Okay. And then the rest are just like the other ones where you can pay and search and get another thing, right?
There's probably some with like some stats that attacks, but it's nothing like notable, standoutable. Just think okay rate creature.
Okay, sure. Well, the fact that Lin Civi can grab any of them, especially if this is like block constructed, that seems really, really good. And this is like why people like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Because creatures will have tutors for other things within like their archetype, and then their archetype can like have access to black removal, access to red removal, right? Like there's like you have this toolbox essentially, and Yu-Gi-Oh is a very toolboxy game in that regard. You can recycle the rebels too. Like, God, this seems for like block constructed, this seems really, really good. Like, I don't know if this is good enough for like a higher power format. But if this were like in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a very bad example because we don't do anything like this, and we don't even have like limited for that matter. But like if there were, I feel like this would be like quite good if you like translated it over. You just keep playing the things out onto the battlefield too. It's not even like they go into your hand. The fact you just get to play them immediately. Huh. You know, at first I was kind of like... I was kind of in the camp that this card was fine, but like just seeing kind of everything together, like block constructed, man, this seems like really, really good. What's like the power level? Like, we're out of the Masks era, you said. Are we up in the power a bit here?
This is the Masks era, but it's leaving the Saga era. The Saga era was busted. This is supposed to be the powered down era.
Okay.
This is a big come down from that power, yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. But
Saga era was like, Yeah, Saga era was like, oh, we're comboing off on turn 2, stuff like that. Like it was a really wild time to play Magic, and this was trying to get back to the staple, like creatures combat, things like that.
Sure. Well, and the fact that, like, another thing that's important here is, like, combat, because, like, in Magic, like, you can choose to just let things live. Like, your opponent doesn't dictate what dies, because, like, the defender has, like, agency. Where in Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, the attacking player has agency. So there's a world where you stick Lin Civi, and then, like, each turn you're just doing this. And they can't, unless they have a removal spell, they can't, like, do anything about it. And it's just, like, nonstop. That seems good. That seems really... I don't know. My Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain, like, is lighting up with this card. I hope it's good. I'll say it's banned. Sure. I wasn't going to at first, but, like, seeing everything, like, contextually, I don't know. It seems pretty good.
Yeah, this is... Rebels is one of the times in Magic where, and this is a big reason also that they got rid of blocks that I didn't talk about in the other videos, because this happens a few times in Magic history, where blocks becomes a one deck metagame.
Sure.
There's only one acceptable strategy.
I would be impressed to see what would, like, go toe-to-toe with this, because this seems so cohesive.
Actually, that's pretty funny. A deck called Rising Waters that just denied all mana. It was just a full-on mana denial, counter everything blue deck was the other deck that got some play. Yeah, Rebels was messed up because... I mean, starting from turn 1, they play like the sergeant, and they turn 2, they play the lieutenant, and it's like they're always going to have access to Lin Civi. So whoever goes first is probably going to have the quickest access to a Lin Civi. And then the idea that you have to get a Lin Civi to kill Lin Civi, so the opponent gets a Lin Civi to kill Lin Civi, and it's just fighting over who has Lin Civi on the board. But then something you may have missed.
I bet you were waiting to say that. I bet you were waiting to say that.
Lin Civi can put a copy of Lin Civi back on the bottom of your deck so that Lin Civi can be sought after by another rebel to continue the chain.
That's so funny.
So this fight, if you got into a Lin Civi fight, it's like it could never end.
It never ends. Yeah.
It never ends. Unless somebody starts missing land drops, right? And then maybe you get ahead that way. But yeah, the Lin Civi Rebel deck on its own would tutor up whatever it needed to lock other decks out of the game with cards like Lightbringer or Lawbringer, recurred, just exiling everything they could put out there. And they would be pressured because these are still creatures. They don't always have to be searching. They can be attacking. So you had endless value. You had removal against certain colors, and in the Rebel versus Rebel matchup, you just had an endless fight over who had Lin Civi. So Lin Civi was banned in Block Constructed as one of the odder bans in Magic history. That was definitely never banned in Standard or any other format. At any point was this ever necessary again.
This is probably bad to say, but if anyone ever wonders what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, aside from the Lin Civi looping, although I wouldn't be, there have been instances where that's been a thing. Just think about a bunch of different Rebel decks going against each other that, like, do different things, but inherently they all just get access to, like, all the cards within, like, their Rebel archetype. And that's like a very adequate analogy, I feel like, for Yu-Gi-Oh! And whether that's good or bad in your perspective of, like, card games is up to you, but this is like the first time I'm seeing like a whole cohesive archetype of cards. It's like, oh yeah, this seems very Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though this is like very old. Like older Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes sort of function like this. And I might show you that one day now that we're seeing this. This gives me an idea for a video.
I'm, I guess, delighted to have more videos in the tank with my
I'm sure the audience
Simo.
Is as well, since they seem to eat them up.
They do. But I always feel like when I do a video like this that I feel really clever about, there's a repercussion. You know what I mean?
What do you, I would never retaliate for something that you have shown me in a video, CGB. I'm not that petty. I would never do something like that.
So we're going to take a little trip now to one of the more... we did a video about this standard format, about Mirrodin and the Affinity, Ravager Affinity standard format a bit. But we didn't talk about the block. And it was a format they played and a format that happened.
That's always a great way to describe a format.
It is. I'm going to start just putting cards in here, and you're just going to start. You've seen some of them before, and you're just going to start letting me know. We're going to look at all of it and see if you can figure out what got banned in this format. I'm just going to tell you right now, something did. Absolutely.
Okay. Skull Clamp. I have gotten familiar with this card recently. It is a 1-mana artifact that says equipped creature gets +1/-1, and when equipped creature is put into a graveyard, draw 2 cards with an equip cost of 1. Okay.
Very, very straightforward. Good honest card? Good honest card, you think?
Seems very abusable, but sure, let's go with that. Card draw in your game is different, so it's kind of hard to say, but... Aether Vial, I think you have shown me this one before. 1-mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Aether Vial, and then tap. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand into play.
Mm-hmm.
Seems very broken. Okay, we get to cheat stuff out. I'm interested. Ancient Den. This is an artifact land. And it just adds... So is this just a land... Like, it's a plains, but it's an artifact plains? Is that what we're going with here?
That is right.
Okay.
Now,
and I imagine there's one of each color.
Bingo. Imagine there is one of each color.
Okay.
Let's throw this in as well.
Darksteel Citadel. Indestructible. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen that in a land before. And it just adds colorless. Okay. Cool. So we got a bunch of artifact lands. Neat.
Yep. And let's throw this in.
Arcbound Ravager. 2-mana artifact creature for a 0/0. Sacrifice an... put a +1/+1 counter on Arcbound Ravager. Okay. And it has modular 1. This comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. When it's put into a graveyard, you may put its +1/+1 counter on target artifact creature. So it just moves the stuff from one artifact creature to another. Here's a question. Does it also have to have modular, or is it just any other artifact creature?
Does it say it has to have modular?
You've been waiting to say that for so long. I can hear it in your voice.
I love this.
Okay, fair.
Oh, it's a good day. It's a good day on this side of the microphone.
You get to say all your one-liners, yeah.
Oh,
all of my
God.
one-liners, I should say.
Actually, yeah, your lawyers will be in touch.
Yeah.
One more piece.
Anything else?
Potential. Yeah. Why would we stop?
Oh, this is cool art. Disciple of the Vault is a black 1/1 human cleric. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, you may have... Oh, God. You may have target opponent lose 1 life. All right, I'm seeing where this is going. Yeah?
Yeah. We can stop there for now.
Okay. So, there's a world where you can sacrifice all your artifacts with Arcbound Ravager, which puts a bunch of counters on it, but then simultaneously triggers the Disciple of the Vault, which makes your opponent lose 1 life if you have a bunch of artifacts to do that. But some of these are cheap, if not basically free, because like Aether Vial can put stuff out for free, essentially. You could also like Skull Clamp things to just like draw a bunch of cards. And then like Modular can like move the +1/+1 counters around to different things. This is like all from the same block or same set.
Welcome to Mirrodin and Darksteel.
Jesus Christ.
This is all within 2 sets, what you're looking at right here.
These are crazy. Okay. What's the most broken thing here? They're all really good, to be honest. The fact that the lands are artifacts, too, is so funny. That's kind of cool flavor-wise, though, that they're like, I don't know, like metal lands. It's kind of neat. Okay.
And you can run 4 of each of them in any deck.
So Aether Vial can cheat stuff out. Skull Clamp can get you cards. The Ravager can like move its counters around, but then also be a sack outlet to go for like the Disciple, the Vault. Man, like all of these cards just seem... God, these are all nuts. I don't think Disciple of the Vault got banned. Like, obviously, that is a thing that can make the opponent lose a life, but I feel like the enabler, like Arcbound Ravager, is probably the bigger issue here, if I had to guess, because that's like what's enabling the whole thing. And I imagine there might be other applications for the Arcbound Ravager, too.
So you think that's the ban card in the mix?
So far, like, just off first glance, that's like to me what seems to be like Yu-Gi-Oh brain. That seems to be the problem. Aether Vial also seems very good because you just get to play stuff for free every single turn. And it's... God, that just seems insane. And then Skull Clamp also seems really good because it just lets you draw cards. Do I get to know if only one of these cards is banned? You said something amongst these is banned. Is that one thing or is it plural, or do I not get that information?
You can say multiple cards.
Okay. Yep. But at minimum something is banned. You said that at least. Okay.
Yep. You are welcome to shoot the shot at multiples.
You sounded way too excited when you said that.
What's that mean?
It means you can't wait to hear how bad my evaluation is. Okay, so I think I've written off Disciple of the Vault. I think I'm in the camp of Arcbound Ravager being banned. I mean, you showed me the lands. There's no way they banned the lands, right? I mean, they could? That seems crazy, though. I feel like if you're making a set like this, you want to have those cards in the game. And if you get rid of Arcbound Ravager, that, like, solves the problem, technically. Okay. I don't think the lands are banned. I can't wait. I'm going to go through all this, and you're going to be like, the only thing here is banned is the lands. That's what I'm waiting for. I feel like Aether Vial is also a problem. Aether Vial seems really good. It's just free. And you may put a counter on it. So you don't. It's not even like mandatory. So the fact you get like agency over that too is kind of nuts. Because I feel like if you get into a situation where like one person has Aether Vial and one person doesn't, I feel like the person with Aether Vial just gets so far ahead.
It's kind of a wacky card. The thing you're putting into play doesn't use the stack, so it can't be countered.
Oh, what? That's insane.
And it can be done at instant speed, including on the opponent's turn.
That's nuts. Oh my god.
In combat.
Insane. I want to play with that card. That card seems broken. Skull Clamp. So you can put this on small things to make sure they die to draw 2. And it only has a 1 equip cost. So like if you have some mana and you have a bunch of morons, you can just get rid of them all and just churn them into cards. That also seems really good, though, because since it's not like a once per turn or anything, if you just have like 3 1/1s or something, you turn that into 6 cards. I can't believe it's draw 2. Like, draw 1 would even be fine, but draw 2 seems like mental. Even though in your game you have like a million ways to draw cards, that still just seems, for 1 card, seems nuts. And then it sticks around. Like, they have to destroy this, because otherwise you can keep doing it. So now I'm in the camp. I think they banned the Ravager. I think they banned Aether Vial. I can't see. I'm thinking Skull Clamp 2. That just like doesn't seem okay. What if they just banned everything? What if you just showed me 6 cards? Technically 11 if you count the other lands. I guess 10. What if they just banned all of these? What if they ban all of these cards?
That would be radical.
Now I'm just like in the mind games here with you. I'm thinking like, would you show me just like 10 banned cards? Maybe. But again, this is block constructed. I think I'm thinking about this in like maybe higher power level format. But maybe these are all... shit, we're playing block constructed. This still seems like the power level just seems nuts. I like how they went from like, okay, guys, we're going to tone the game down. And then you're showing me these next. That's like unbelievable.
There's a few years in between here.
Okay. I thought this was directly after. Okay.
We took a pretty big trip forward. Nah, masks, let's see that. I mean, it's not, I guess it's like 4 years, 5 years.
Okay. All right. I feel a bit better about that. That would have been very funny philosophy wise. Okay. So I think I'm at Ravager, Aether Vial, Skull Clamp got banned.
Okay.
I feel like Disciple of the Vault, if you get rid of the enablers, Disciple of the Vault's not that bad. And then there's no way they banned the lands, right? There's no way. You probably just showed me these for like context. Because like part of me is like, what if they just banned all of this? And maybe they did. Maybe they did. I can't see them banning lands. Like that's just like, well, that's not true. Like the port you showed me, that I could see them banning. But like they're just artifacts. But maybe that's like too good. They don't do anything. Oh, you've got me with this one. Oh, this is brutal.
is what's the thought going through his mind right now is, would he be nice enough to just show me a card for context?
Never. I'm in the camp that the 3 that I said are banned or they're all banned. But like I can't, there's no way.
We're gonna need a final answer.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the 3. I'm gonna say Ravager banned, Aether Vial banned, Skullclamp banned. I'll say that. There's no way, like in your artifact set, that they ban the lands. There's no shot.
Okay. They banned it all.
I knew it. I literally said it. I'm like, you showed me 10 cards and they're all banned. No way.
Yeah. They gutted the whole format.
Wow.
They took it all out. They were like, Mirrodin this was one of the only times, like, so the early days of Magic happened and things were busted, but it was okay. We were learning. And then they made some really powered down sets like Fallen Empires and Homelands. And Magic kind of almost died around then. Like it was scary. Then Urza's block was like super powerful, crazy combo time for Magic that lasted for like a year. And people say that took a wave of bannings. The game almost died then. The other time that people will point to that it almost died, right here in the jaws of Mirrodin. Mirrodin in Standard was a nightmare. Mirrodin required so much attention, but Mirrodin block was even worse because they just built this whole set around these artifact synergies, and there was nothing better. It was the epitome of a one deck format, and whoever had their Ravager and their Disciple of the Vault and all their artifact lands was doing the thing, and other people were not. I got a bonus one for you.
I can't believe they banned the lands. I'm sorry. That's crazy to me.
I mean, I can't either. They literally just cut that part of the game out. The fact that the whole set was built around things like how many artifacts you have. So there were cards like Frogmite. Frogmite, I don't need to pull it up. It's a 4-mana 2/2 artifact.
Okay.
It had and nothing else except for the ability Affinity for Artifacts. And what that means is this costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control.
Oh, it's free!
So, yep, get 4 lands that are artifacts, and it's free. Get 1 land, 1 Aether Vial, 1 other land, and 1 Arcbound Ravager, and it's free. They also had a 7-mana 4/4 that had Affinity for Artifacts. So you get to 7 artifacts, and it's a free 4/4. And
this sounds like my kind of format. I'm kind of into this.
Oh, yeah. You would have liked a card named Thoughtcast. In fact, I will show you Thoughtcast, because now we're doing it. Now we're cooking, right? Honestly, there might be, Wizards would never admit it, but there might be a little Yu-Gi-Oh vibe going on here.
I feel like it. Thoughtcast, 4 and a blue, Affinity for Artifacts. Oh, so it's 1 blue, draw 2 cards. Okay, yeah. So it's
1 blue,
basically.
Yeah. And what's the other one? So this one reminds me of another Yu-Gi-Oh card, but this was legal in this format as well. If I can find it really quickly.
While you're looking, like Disciple of the Vault, I was kind of on like the edge of them banning, because like I could see it because it's just like a way to drain the opponent, but the lands are crazy. I can't believe they banned the lands. That's nuts. Thirst for Knowledge, 2 and a blue for an instant, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact. Oh, so it's Graceful Charity with upside, basically, is what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah,
and
great.
It was the lands that allowed these things to basically just be like no downside, right?
Sure.
You just discard a land instead of an artifact.
I gotta try this format out. This seems great.
Oh, it was great. All right. I think that the people who loved it for a very short period of time, but this was legal and running the show. And I mean running the show for 2 years. It got
I
really
believe
old.
it.
And the rares got expensive. The Arcbound Ravagers were $25 each. At the time, that was a lot for standard to get a 4 set of those. I tried at this time to get back into standard. At this point in my life, I had graduated college. I had my first big boy job. I had a real paycheck. And one of the things I tried to do was play Affinity without the Ravagers. I shit you not, I made the finals of that tournament. That's how good the deck was.
Wow.
Yeah, but I lost to the guy with the Ravagers.
With the Ravagers? That's hilarious.
So then I went out and spent a nice chunk of my money on the Ravagers, and then, well, what happened. So here's the fun thing about these bans. In March of 2006, all but one of these cards I showed you before showing you the Thoughtcast and the Thirst for Knowledge, all but one of these ban cards I showed you were banned. One card was actually banned before all these others. It was banned in June of 2004. Like 18 months, like what is that, 20 months before the others.
Pretty much.
What do you think that card was?
Well, it didn't seem like it was the Ravager based off of the way you said things. So my guess is either Aether Vial or Skull Clamp. Because I don't think it's the lands. I don't think it's Disciple of the Vault. Could have been Disciple of the Vault, but I don't know. I feel like Aether Vial and Skull Clamp are like the two. Oh man, I feel like these are like two of the biggest problem cards out of the bunch. 20 months before. Jeez.
Yep. Shoot a shot.
I feel like they're both really good for like their own reasons. So, like, in a vacuum, it's hard to evaluate. I want to say Aether Vial just because of, like, the cheating capability. But I also could see the argument for Skull Clamp because of how much card advantage it gives you. I'm going to go with my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain and say Aether Vial because I feel like that is what we would say.
That's interesting. The answer is Skull Clamp.
Okay. I can see it. I can see it.
Yep. And the reason Skull Clamp was banned so fast is because it was literally a design mistake. Probably one of the only design mistakes on the Nadu level of design mistakes, where they changed it at the last second to try to address a problem with it. The change was it used to give +1/+1, and they changed it to +1/-1 because they thought the +1/+1 was too good.
That's a huge difference. This is way better.
Missing completely that the -1/-1 let you kill your one toughness creatures to draw cards on the spot.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
okay, I can see
Aether Vial had a cool history as well, where people actually didn't realize this card was good. It took a while for people to realize this card was good. There was actually a debate. There was a debate about whether Vial Affinity was better than regular Affinity. And you know, the stats wore out that eventually it was Vial Affinity and Vial joined the group of the band. But my lord, was that a time for Magic.
It's funny that everyone who's watching this is probably like groaning who went through it. They're like, oh my God, this was the end of Magic. And I'm over here like giggling like, ooh, this looks fun. Because like my Yu-Gi-Oh brain, all the neurons are firing of all the crazy stuff you can do. So
indeed.
Yeah. He's got to show me the right stuff, CGB, and then I get excited.
Exactly. I don't know. I wonder what you'll think of this, but we're going to jump forward many years. Magic does survive the great and miserable time of Affinity in Mirrodin block. We're jumping to 2012, one of the last block constructed formats that would exist is Innistrad block constructed. One of the last, I believe the last block Pro Tour to occur, although they'll fact check me on that in the comments. I'm going to show you two cards. One of these cards won the Pro Tour. The other card was banned before the Pro Tour even happened.
Oh, God. I hate these.
You're going to try to figure out which was which.
All right. So whatever my intuition is the opposite. That's what you're telling me. All right. I'm in. Temporal Mastery. 5 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Temporal Mastery. Okay, I've seen a few of these before. Miracle for 1 and a blue. You may cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you drew this turn. It's Heart of the Cards! Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay. I wish Yu-Gi-Oh! Baked stuff like that into card effects. That'd be fun. Lingering Souls. 2 and a white for a sorcery. Put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. Flashback for 1 and a black. Interesting. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Okay, that's very Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay. Where is my mind going with this? You said one won a Pro Tour and the other was banned before the Pro Tour, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So I obviously see the turn skip card. I see the miracle cost, and my mind goes, okay, how do we abuse this? And so there's probably some cards that allow you to like stack your deck that you can put this on top of your deck so that you always draw it for its miracle cost so that it only costs 2. And then maybe there's some way to like loop that so you have like infinite turns. That's kind of where my head is at with that card, especially because it's so cheap. Like that seems so tempting for people to want to do.
Yep, but I'm going to slow you down. For one thing in this block, there weren't a lot of ways to stack the top of your deck. And the other thing is this exiles itself after you cast it. So it's very hard. It's almost impossible to loop.
Okay. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain torn asunder, I suppose. And then Lingering Souls. I can't believe you're like grouping these two cards together. Because this just gives you guys. It just gives you some guys. That's it.
Yeah. Just guys. How far would I go to trick you?
Very, actually. God, like, I hate that you put this in here because, like, if you showed me Lingering Souls in a vacuum, I'd just tell you this card's like fine, I guess. Like the fact that this either won a Pro Tour or was banned before the fact is insane to me. Although I guess I could see it winning a Pro Tour. That doesn't seem crazy to me. Because if this wins the Pro Tour, that means Temporal Mastery was banned before the Pro Tour. Which could be the case. Like, maybe this is the block constructed Pro Tour, right?
Yep, the block constructed
So,
Pro
like,
Tour.
maybe in Standard, Temporal Mastery was a problem. So it was kind of like the port where they got to see this card was really good. And they're like, okay, we have to ban this in the block constructed thing. And then Lingering Souls was the thing that won. The inverse is that Lingering Souls was so good that they banned it before the Pro Tour, but then Temporal Mastery was fine, and that's what won the Pro Tour. Okay, can I ask this question? Is only one of these cards banned?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know, but also frightening to me that the fact that Lingering Souls is like in contention here at all. Oh my god, this is torture. This is going to be your thumbnail right here. I already know. Temporal Mastery wins the Pro Tour, so Lingering Souls is banned. Or Lingering Soul wins the Pro Tour and Temporal Mastery is banned. I feel like... Okay, here's where I'm at. I feel like you know me well enough by this point that you purposely picked these two cards. And you know my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain is going to see the extra turn stuff and just light up, and that's going to be what I default to. And I'm going to see Lingering Souls and be like, oh, this card is like whatever, because like who cares about Lingering Souls, right? So you're doing that intentionally, knowing that that's like where my brain is going to go to. So I should pick the opposite because that's probably the correct answer here. So I can't believe I'm going to say it. I think Lingering Souls got banned before the block constructed Pro Tour and Temporal Mastery won the Pro Tour.
Final answer?
Final answer.
I can't believe you did it. I can't believe you actually went so far as to say that Lingering Souls would be banned. Are you crazy?
Yes.
You're right.
Yes,
you're right.
I did it.
They pre-banned Lingering Souls before the Pro Tour, thinking
Please
that
tell
would be
me
the problem.
Why? Is this just one of those cards where I see it and it's just my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain can't comprehend just like good value on a card that's like fine? Is this another Oath of the Mirror Breaker or whatever that card was? Is that what this is?
If the format had a lot of really good token makers, would that change your mind? Let me show you another card. Tell me what you think of this.
Can you skull clamp the Lingering Souls token?
Skull Clamp is not in this format.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
I'm just checking. Intangible Virtue. This is 1 and a white for an enchantment. Creature tokens you control have +1/+1 and have vigil. Like, I see this and I'm like, okay, like, and oh, your tokens are bigger. Woo, crazy. But
this doesn't do anything for you?
Your 1/1s are 2/2s. Like, sure. It doesn't really. But if you tell me that's like the craziest thing ever, like, okay, I'll bite.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to absolutely destroy your brain.
Okay.
They pre-banned Intangible Virtue too.
There's no way that's
they
true.
Did.
There is no way that is true.
The only 2 pre-banned cards in the format were Lingering Souls and Intangible Virtue.
Are you serious?
That is true. Yes. In 2012. Yes.
This was that good?
Despite that, the deck that had a 46% meta share in the first tournament was a red-white aggro token deck that maxed out on this card. But this was like it's Rockstar.
Hell right. This art and name goes hard. This is 2 and a red for a 3/3 devil with haste, and whenever a creature you control attacks, it deals 1 damage to defending player. Interesting. So I guess, right, okay, so if you have an Intangible Virtue, you're paying 5 mana for essentially 8/8 worth of stats. And then if you have a second Intangible Virtue, then it's like 12/12 worth of stats for 5. And you can have like multiple of like both. Like, I guess it's just
that many
enough.
tokens. There were just that many token cards. There was, 2 mana make 2 dorks. There was 3 mana make 2 flying dorks. Aside from Lingering Souls, a different card.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, this was still the most played deck in the early days of the format was tokens, even after these were banned. Like, they were afraid that the only playable deck in the format was tokens. And then in the top 8 of the Pro Tour, not so much tokens. Instead, the deck that won is known as the Miracle deck, which featured 4 copies of Temporal Mastery as well as these cards. And, I can sum them up. Entreat the Angels is a miracle card that when you draw it as your first draw, when you flip it over as a miracle, makes a whole bunch of angels at a ridiculously good rate. It also played this card, which is Terminus, 1 white for a miracle cost. When you flip this over, that just buries all creatures. It was a blue-white control deck that just tried to sit there playing really bad draw spells and stall for time, like stall for time until it top-decked miracles at the right time and overpowered the opponent.
Wow.
That's
really interesting though, like for a concept for a deck though. So Entreat the Angels was like the bomb basically, and then you just like swarm the field with these 4/4s that they just like can't deal with.
Yeah, the deck used instants, basically 1 mana, draw a card, like an instant speed effect, to also get shots at Miracle on the opponent's turn.
Right,
because it's for the first draw each turn. So the deck was actually a wild ride because it would seem like it was in a terrible position, and then on the opponent's turn, it would go Thought Scour, flip over, Entreat the Angels, make 20 power worth of stats. And then on its turn, or not even 20, make like 12 power worth of stats, let's say. They play it for like 5, right? That's more reasonable. Right. On their turn, they flip over Temporal Mastery. I get
the
2
game's
turns.
Just like over, right?
It's over.
Yeah, you just swing with the Angels and you win. I think this is the first time you showed me a card with XX in the cost. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's because those cards are normally not good because that rate is insane. But when you switch it to just an X on the Miracle, it was busted. Yeah. Yeah, huge range on the Miracle cards. Very fun Pro Tour top 8 to watch. I might make a video just about that top 8 someday. It's one of my favorites, absolute favorites. Oh my God, I loved the Miracle deck, and I thought that
I bet you did,
dude. The juxtaposition of the Lingering Souls pre-ban and cards like Temporal Mastery in the format, I couldn't resist. I never thought, Simo, you'd actually have it in you to call Lingering Souls a banned card.
I didn't think I did either, but I had to go against all of my all the fibers in my being because I know that you are here to mess with me and to make sure that I get these wrong. So I had to, in the better interest of making sure that I can prove to you that I can figure it out, I had to go against my better judgment. But I'm still shocked, even with you explaining it to me, that these cards were banned. That's insane to me.
Honestly, you've changed the whole metagame for these videos with that call. I've got to rethink my whole strategy and regroup.
You and me both. I think the problem is the more of these videos you and I do together, the better we figure each other out.
You'll have to see where it all goes in the next episode of the Covert Go podcast. Thank you to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, and check out Full Service Selling with the link below in the description, and use the promo code CGBPOD at checkout on CoolStuffInc.com to get an additional discount. Check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, as well as right here on YouTube. And check out my guest, Simo, at his channel, link below in the description, or just search for Simo on YouTube. He'll come
If you
right
want
up.
to see me torture him, definitely check me out.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, man. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks so much. This is a pleasure.